the world's richest people. All of them have an average of 7 businesses.
How did you actually get started with the agency SEO?
Should be doing 60 to 80 hours a week.
Why did you start Local Dominator?
Sold my first website when I was like 13 or something.
What are some of the most important ranking factor?
To be honest, 3 of those. Thing that is the most important you cannot start with before is technical SEO. They're paying you $2,500, 30 grand a year. Why would they pay an agency $1,500, $2,500 and expect more? It doesn't make any sense.
What's one underrated marketing tactic that you think most local businesses overlook?
All you have to do is to find good technique.
Have you tried Facebook ads and stuff?
Facebook ads for local is not as good as a business. You need to be everywhere.
Your biggest challenge till date?
My entrepreneur spirit, but not a big way. Huh? I missed it. Whoa. Yeah, second thing was...
Hello everyone, what's up? Yash this side, and welcome to another episode of the SEO Unleashed with Yash. In this one, I have brought Eldar, and he is someone who runs an agency, has a SaaS, whatnot. We'll be kind of trying to pick up his brain around SaaS, business, and whatnot. Eldar, before I get into the main stuff, tell me, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody that takes a moment of their time and their day to listen to this. So that's awesome. As far as how would I go about introducing myself, I would go about pretty simply. I would say that I'm an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, and I do a lot of different types of ventures and different type of businesses, from agencies, SaaS, local home service businesses, and different things of that sort. Different investing things that I do. And that's kind of how I would just say who Eldar and this and this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. Before I actually jump into the main questions that I've prepared, I want to ask one thing. Everyone talks about focus, right? Focus on one single business, focus on one single industry, whatnot. What's your take on that? Because you run home service businesses, agency, SaaS, whatnot. So how do you actually, first of all, give time to each of those ventures, and what's your take on working on different stuff at the same time?
Yeah. I think, and I also know that when people tell you got to focus on one thing, they don't consider the time aspect of things. Meaning, it's correct and it's right to do, but there is time and place for everything. So you can focus on something, but you can focus on another thing the next month. And if you look into a lot of the world's richest people, all of them have an average of 7 businesses. So the question is, are they focusing on one thing? Probably not. So the saying that you should focus on one thing is 100% true and 100% correct. However, it's not complete. You should focus on one thing at a time. That's the full sentence. So you can run an agency in March and you can be, at Cairo in April, right? So you can divide your time into different segments and into different businesses based on your time's allocation to each business. Now, the second part of the question is, how do you do it? How do you, one day you wear this hat and the next day you wear another hat? You should be managing your time properly. And I manage my time tediously and religiously with my calendar. If it's not in my calendar, it's not going to happen. Because we were trying to find time to this, how much I'm going on my calendar, right? If I send invites to the calendar, I don't know anything that it's not in my calendar unless I really, really have to. I take my personal into my calendar. So for example, I have my lunch in my calendar, my dog walks in my calendar, my workouts in my calendar, my dating in my calendar. Everything in my life, almost everything goes into my calendar. And then I organize all of my life events. And then I organize business events around that. So for example, um, uh, this meeting, obviously it's in my calendar. I have other meetings in calendar. But if I put everything into it, I can manage my time and I can do a bunch of stuff. That's one. The second aspect of that is leverage and working with people that can help you to reach your destination and reach the objectives you're trying to do. Because you only have 60 to 80 hours a week to work. And if you, not this or you, but an entrepreneur that does, let me rephrase it. An entrepreneur in his early age and in early stage of life should be doing 60 to 80 hours a week. And if a person want to be a really good entrepreneur and have great success in his business and he's only doing 30 or 40, he's probably going to have some issues, right? So I don't want to work double time. My week doesn't end at 40. So if somebody else works 40 hours a week and I work 80 hours a week, I don't think I get more
It's true.
at time. So it's perfect. That's true how I go about it.
Makes sense. Another one. How did you actually how did you actually get started with the agency, SEO, and all of these online marketing stuff?
How did I started? Or
Yeah.
how do you? Yeah. So
How did you start?
all right. First of all, I did have some great background that allowed me to do that. When I was a kid, I built websites and things of that sort. I sold my first website when I was like 13 or something. But I haven't touched it in many years. When I was a teenager, I was majoring in computers and I was this little dorky guy, and uh, when I got a little older, I left the whole computer stuff aside. And then something happened where I needed to start learning again how to do websites, how to generate leads, and all of those things. Long story short, it was a time in my life that a friend came to me and says, "Hey, I had a garage door business." He was in Chicago. "Can you help me to generate leads?" Just kind of like a small talk conversation. He wasn't really like looking for that. And it was another event prior to that that I made, that I created some leads for somebody, and this guy arrived. Anyway, so I said to him, "You teach me the trade on how to do garage doors, and I'll build a website for you, or I'll get you to Google My Business and all of this." And down the road, I became a garage door technician. I'm really dorky and I love computers. I also love to do my hands-on construction. I'm a labor guy in a way. I like, give me something and I'll break it, I'll build it. So I really enjoyed it. It's a really fulfilling feeling. So I hired a bunch of marketing agencies and the work was really bad. So I was like, wait, I know how to do this. Like I can figure this thing out on my own. Just give me a week or two and I'll figure it out. So that's what I did. I started to work on my own website, and then about 6 months, a year, or something like that. I talked to somebody, and then they knew I had success with the SEO. So he was like, "Hey, do that for me." And then boom, I had my first client, and then boom, I had another client and another client, and whoo, the whole thing kind of, the whole snowball effect kind of ruined it. That's kind of
Makes sense. Gotcha. We'll be getting into the agency sides of things later on. First question: why did you start Local Dominator at the first place?
yeah. So I started Local Dominator several years ago. It was back then when Michael Ray and I,
Yeah,
we had a coaching services.
I was part of it.
I know. All right, that's true. It's true. I remember that. So like this is I think you're actually among the first people that kind of got into the program. And we used to use a lot of scans. And the biggest challenge we had at that time at the scans was really inaccurate. I mean, it was really bad. All the solutions in the market was really, really bad. I don't know why, but it was really bad. So Michael came to me one day, is like, "Hey, I know you've done some SaaS. I need that, it's and that. You have the knowledge on things. Do you think you could do it?" And he was like, "Do it for us." Like that was the whole thing. We were trying to create a tool that will be more accurate and will reduce the cost. And it made sense because we had that volume to support and we had things that made sense to invest that into that. So long story short, I was like, you know what? I'll do it. Let me figure it out. And then one thing led to the other, one thing to the other. And then we had, a pretty basic software that was designed for him and I. And then from there, things kind of folded differently. And I went with the software, and Michael kept the trainings and the white label services we had, and that's kind of how everything started for me with that. And yeah, if somebody is listening to this, Michael have a really nice coaching program. You should check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, and to anyone watching this and who's not aware of what Local Dominator is, it's kind of a great rank tracking tool that you can use for your Google business profile and stuff like that. And this is not paid. I do use that regularly. Yeah. And there, getting into the local SEO sides of things for a bit. What are some of the most important ranking factor in your opinion? Because even though you do SaaS and a lot of these stuff, because you have been into local SEO stuff since last couple of years, you have seen it, you have built it, and you have really ranked big businesses. So how do you do that?
Not only did I work quite a big businesses, I also have a lot of data because I've been doing this for many years. And I have a lot of clients and a lot of my own lead generation assets. So when you have a lot of them, to be honest, you kind of say, okay, I'm going to take 3 of those and I'm going to test this. And I take 3 and I'm going to test this. I'm going to take 5, I'm going to test this. So you kind of like have a lot to play with. And the thing that is the most important you cannot start with before is technical SEO. If the technical part of the SEO doesn't properly done, then everything else you'll build might work, but it might not give you what you're really looking for. For example, in the last, I don't know, 6 months or so, there's a lot of, maybe more, but in the last period of time, there's a lot of noise about CTR, right? If you CTR a listing or a website and it's crappy out of the gate versus you take the same CTR and you use it for a perfect SEO optimized, all the technical SEO is done to perfection. The same tool, the same CTR will move the one with the technical SEO that is done properly versus the one that is not. So for me, the ground break and the ground stone of everything is technical SEO, and then everything comes after.
Mm, Gotcha. Makes sense. Let's suppose you have done the technical sides of thing really well. Then after that, what's the stuff that you do?
Sorry. So usually I will go really heavy first on content. And the reason I'll go first heavy on content is a couple of things. Um, A, that's kind of like what Google tells you, right? Google really like content that is relevant. And it's also easy to do because it's on page. You don't need external tools. Yeah, use whatever tools to create a content, but it's fairly basic, right? So when you expand the website, you add the content in the first phases. Then I'll go usually to links. Then I'll go to different things of that sort. And I kind of know where the question is leading to. I will only use things of that sort, which is like a CTR or a black hat stuff, really, really down the road. And when I stay down the road, I won't touch any of that sort, any of those things before 8 months into a campaign. And that's only if it have a good success, which can happen. Sometimes you can write a campaign, you can SEO a website, and this sucker just doesn't move. It happens. It happens with everybody. And this is the time that you can start using black hat stuff, or gray hat or whatever, black or CTRs, different manipulated links, different things. I don't like to use those out of the gate. And I'll share another thing that I don't like to do. I don't like to use very powerful things out of the gate because I want my regular stuff to work first. And if it's not working, then I'm going to come with a heavy artillery. There's another thing that sometimes agencies don't think about. But what if, I'm going to ask you that, what if you start, you start to work with electrician, let's say, and is really bad. Everything is in the red. They're not ranking. And then you come in, you do your thing, you do your magic. 3 weeks after, everything is perfect. What do you do next?
Honor.
You're going to beg him to keep you.
Yeah, true that.
It's true. So in our best interest, it's not to deliver, which is weird. I know nobody's speaking of this, but it's true. in our best interest is to deliver results over a long period of time. And that do everything we can out of the gate and improve, because we're not getting paid enough. Also, to be honest, let's say you're working with an American business and they are paying you a nice amount. I'm not disvaluing this. This is a lot of money. They're paying you 2,500, 30 grand a year. Honestly, it's a lot of money, but it's not enough to meet the objective. But if the same business would hire somebody to go to their business every morning to check in, to clock in, sit on their ass 9 hours a day and do SEO, they're going to pay that person around $60,000 to $80,000 a year, which is more than double. So why would pay an agency? Yeah, why would they pay an agency 1,500, 2,500 and expect more? It doesn't make any sense. So, because I know you work with a lot of sales, I kind of want to emphasize this because my goal is to help agencies and business owners. And I want you guys to understand that sometimes you really need to choose your actions smartly. You want to get good, quick results. I'm not saying no, but I'm saying do not change everything and make it freaking amazing where there's no more work for you. Because then you'll be left alone with no work because you've done everything.
True that, right? Makes sense. So if I could sum it up, give quick wins. Obviously, you have to showcase something so that you can retain client, but at the same time, show improvements step by step. You can't just throw everything at once and get the best out of it. Makes sense.
Or show small wins every month. Every month we had another nice win, but not a big win. You do it here. I missed it. Mm-hmm. Gus. Oh yeah. Super important to be honest. Like I've seen this actually because I've done this for like almost 10 years now. I had scenarios where I did a really freaking awesome work. And they're like, well, that's great. Well, now we're green. We don't need you. Like, what do you mean? We just started. Like, yeah, fuck.
Makes sense.
Uh,
Gotcha. Gotcha. Makes sense. Eldar, so you run couple of home service businesses as well. Asking from that point of view, what's one underrated marketing tactic that you think most local businesses overlook?
so I think collaborations and uh, yeah, I think collaboration is one of the biggest things. I know it's not an online marketing thing, and maybe we're talking about online, and I can direct my guests to that, but I just see it all the time. I see where I speak to business owners that are operating local business, and they don't try to do any collaboration. For example, if you are, again, an electrician, you want to create collaborations with different vendors that can give you work. And a lot of businesses, they just don't want to do that. I don't know why. They're like, well, I don't have the time, I don't have that. And they keep all this money on the side, and it's a lot of it. There's a lot of revenue there. They just need to do that. So that's untapped. What comes, well, okay, sorry.
No, please go. Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to online, the one thing that I see that is quite significant is people don't do enough. They just don't do enough. And kind of let me bring it to an example of the gym, right? If you go to the gym once, you get a little stronger. But if you do it again and again and again, you become stronger and stronger and stronger. Same thing apply to our business. If we go to the gym and then we stop, or we just do one session a week, we'll get progress or maintain it, but it won't be exponential. And the things that I see, a lot of businesses are afraid to go exponentially when it comes to marketing. So let me ask you this as well. How many times you had businesses, and I'm sure you talk to some serious businesses, and they'll come to you and they'll say, well, we have, I'm just throwing 20K budget a month. Let's figure out how we can grow our business. Usually, most businesses, even if they have the budget, they'll do something else, right? They'll be like, well, you tell me what I need to do, or something of that sort, or you give me the budget. This really tells us that A, they don't have the realistic budget, they don't have expectations. proper. There's a lot of stuff that they're not proper. And in those scenarios and in those type of businesses, they don't go all in into their marketing. So to be mediocre results, right? If you were, oh, because we kept the electrician example. If you're an electrician and your business is doing, I'm just throwing $500,000 a year, and you want to get to 3 million, it's quite simple. All you have to do is to find good technique, which is, let's say, optimizing the Google My Business, and do it 50 times, 100 times.
Mhm.
I don't even talk statistics out or websites. Like, I kid you not, I lost track. Like,
Mhm.
because I keep building more and more and more and more and more, like systematically. Like,
Makes sense.
what I
Mm, makes perfect sense. Yeah, another one, and this is kind of the follow-up of the last one. When you start a home service business, what's your framework of scaling it, or what's your framework of growing that? How do you actually start getting clients for that specific business?
for a home service.
Yeah.
So usually I start with a PPC campaign or something
Mm,
of that sort. Small, not a lot, just a little bit to get a couple stuff in the door. And then the first 6 months, usually I'll work very, very heavy on creating assets. A lot of websites, a lot of Google listings, and I'll just create more and more and more and more. That will be my established stack of listings. And then usually I'll keep getting more listings as I go, but in a lower quantity. And my focus will shift more into optimizing the listings that I've created. That's usually for my businesses. And if you start doing more things.
mm. Gotcha. So PPC and the local issue size of thing. And when I say local issue, I mean the website plus GBP. That's your two main focus areas when you start within a business, right?
Yes.
Have you tried Facebook ads and stuff?
Yeah,
Mm,
Facebook ads for local is not as good as I would
mhm,
like it. It's good. It's working, but it's kind of my last thing because here's the deal. When you have a business, you have a bucket of areas where you can run ads or advertise, right? You have Google, you have Facebook, you have Yelp, billboards, whatever. Not all channels are born equally or created equally. Some will give you more lucrative results, some will give you more poorly results. As an agency or as a business owner, what we have to do is to make sure we maximize the most ROI channel. And then we go down the list until we get to the channels, believe it or not, that are not producing anything.
mhm,
Usually the question here is like, why would you put money where it doesn't do anything? Right.
mm,
So here's the thing. As a business, you need to be everywhere. You are not going to get a positive ROI on everything that you do. Same thing like your day-to-day life, right? And sometimes you'll do again like a workout, you'll get more out of it, you'll do another workout, you'll get less. Not all workouts are created equal. Same thing for the advertising channels, right? As an agency, we know that. We know, all right, for Google, I can get him this amount of calls. From this campaign, I can get him this amount of calls, like roughly, right? So the biggest challenge for a lot of businesses is they don't get. They're like, why do I have to do that and that if I'm breaking even? Well, for very, very basic and simple reason. Because if you're not going to be there, someone else is going to be there. And maybe it's going to work for that someone else. You want to be everywhere, even if it breaks even at some point. Because then you don't move to the direct ROI, you move to the subconscious ROI, which means you're going to stay in your prospect subconscious mind. And then eventually you're going to convert.
mm. Makes sense.
It's kind of how I like that.
Makes perfect sense. Now coming to the challenges side of thing, because you're running a couple of businesses and you have been doing this for a decade now. What would you say has been your biggest challenge till date, and how did you actually overcome that?
So I think that one of my biggest challenges, eh, I I have like two that I kind of want to mention. Yeah. One of them is my entrepreneur spirit that I feel in many cases that I have to go against. And it comes down to the play of, let's say there's another opportunity. And then you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let me not take that opportunity because not all opportunities was born for us. Not everything is for us. However, as an entrepreneur, sometimes it's very hard not to take action on that because sometimes you see something really nice. Like I had somebody pitching me an idea not long ago, and I was like, man, this is really nice. Like I really like that. But then remember we talked about this earlier. There's only amount of time. There's only certain amount of time that you have. So at some point, you want to be selective of what you do with your time and how you allocate your time. So at some point, some of those things you should really stay away. And that's one of my challenges is like to say no when I see an opportunity. That's the one thing. The second thing is when you get to different places with your business or different things, sometimes it's a little lonely place. And when I say it's a lonely place, I mean that not necessarily you're going to have a lot of people that you can have discussions with or be your mentor or things of that sort. So you kind of have to figure things out as you go and trust yourself to take the right decision. To- Um, and I think these are pretty big challenges. Like one of them is to stay away from glitter and all of those things is are, try to blind you. And then on the other one, you want to keep yourself in a good state and you want to make sure that you're taking the right decisions. Um, and you don't let things overwhelm you and things of that sort. And you get yourself focused on the things.
Makes sense. I'm asking this, this particular question is usually asked at the very end of the podcast, but I would go right now. What advice would you give to entrepreneurs who are looking to venture into either SaaS or marketing side selling?
I think that the biggest thing that I can give new entrepreneurs or people that are getting into those things is really look at what you do and do it to your best of your ability. And I'll break it down. Look into what you're going to do means you need to find something that not only gives you an edge, but also is unique in a way. The reason I say that because in our little realm of SEO, there's a lot of stuff that are not like that. Somebody starts something, you as a person that starts that, you want to make sure that whatever it's SaaS you do or project you do or whatever, you'll have an edge, you'll be unique with a unique selling proposition, and that's kind of like what you want to go for. And second thing was, wait, what was the second thing? The second thing I wanted to say to entrepreneurs, to your best of your ability. So the second thing is your best of your ability. Some people or whatever, they do something, but they don't do it all the way. They half-ass the job. If you're doing something, you have to do it all the way. And that's what you want to target yourself on. If you are going to start something and you're going to half-ass it, don't do it. Don't do it. All you need to be serious. And I'll give you an example of something. I speak with all of agencies, come and say, right? And one of the things they tell me, and I hear this a lot, is like, oh, I don't have enough business. Or they say, I don't have enough business. So I ask them, well, what do you do for your agency to get business? Well, and really say, well, I go there, I speak with this. Cool. And I ask them, have you ever thought about creating a strategy for your agency, an actual strategy to follow your agency with mark points, with like a curriculum of things that you're going to do, with a like really, really, really work on your agency. And you know what? No one till today that reached out to me, spoke with me about that, actually had his shit together and was taking his business seriously. That's the that's the biggest thing. They just take it as a hobby. And you will get hobby results when you took your business seriously. Because I remember you and I had a discussion,
Yeah,
right? How things have changed for you.
pretty amazingly, I would say. I've been able to kind of double down on the revenue.
Woo! And remember, we talked about this, right?
Yeah,
These are the things that makes the biggest thing. If you're doing something, do it all the way, all the fucking way. That's the only thing you're going to think about. That's gonna make the difference. That's the
makes sense. Makes sense. Coming to your first point, differentiating yourself in a market. I just kill, let's say HVAC home service. Coming, you know how fucking competitive home service industry is. right? Then again, the other one, marketing agency. Both of these, they're way too competitive. How do you then differentiate yourself in a crowded market like these?
So let's start from an agency standpoint. From an agency standpoint, I'll share my previous agency. So my previous agency used to call Web and Hit. It used to call Web and Hit, a name that was really hard to pronounce. Was really the business wasn't there, and at that time, I used to have about I can't remember exactly, but it was 12 or 15 clients, and we were doing about K ish. It was right around COVID time, and I remember I see the little, and I'm like, man, like I gotta take this business like seriously. And this is where I was like, I have to take this business seriously from a hobby to an actual business. I was thinking, how do I differentiate myself? How do I make myself different than everybody else around me? The first thing that I did was my marketing. Now, I was marketing myself as local whiz, as local wizard. And I've done it so well that it gave me an edge. It literally gave me an edge in the marketplace. If somebody was asking me, it's like, what's the difference between you and the other guy? I would literally tell him, have you seen another fucking wizard? And I'll be like, and I would shut up, literally, because I differentiated myself that from everybody else. And I was now that wizard, and everybody is here in that bucket. So now there was two different buckets. So it was very easy for me. And then I differentiated by the branding, and I invested a lot into the branding. It was all the time. I don't know if you remember that time where I was having videos with my hat. Oh, look, here's my little guy. This was me. This was me right there. Like my little hat and my little robe that I had. And I was doing surrealistic images, and I was like that wizard. That was the biggest thing. Now, I'm not the only person that have been doing that. There's a lot of brands out there that is doing that. Let's talk about this for a second. Have you ever purchased something? Maybe you didn't because there's all chunks like that. So but you've seen it. Like I'm sure you might this because I see it, but I never buy it. But you've probably seen like an ad for like a toy or like a gimmick or something weird, right? Like weird. Like usually I'll see it from like those Simbo or whatever, or I'll see the Shopify ads. And I remember there was one thing actually that I wanted to get. And the first thing that I do, I'll take the same thing and I'll go and I'll look it up in Amazon or in AliExpress or any of those websites. And in many cases, I will find the exact same item, one to one, 10% like off the price, 90% discount. How come that company was able to sell it for significant amount more? Just branding. The way we wrap up something is we are preparing it for a sale. Okay. So when a business wants to differentiate themselves, there's a lot of factors, but I'm focusing just on the brand right now because that's pretty easy and it's pretty significant. The way you wrap up a gift or your business, it's the way that gift or business is presented to the world. And if you do it in a crappy way, you call your business Webinet, like I did, with a crappy ass logo with a broken website, people look at you that way. They treat you that way. But if you come to that with amazing brand, with an amazing exposure, with an amazing website, you remember that wow effect, right? That we talks about. If you come to that with that wow effect, and they talk to you and say, "Wow, it's done deal. It's done deal." That's the differentiate factor. It's the wow effect that I can bring in.
Mm, makes sense. And this is the exact same stuff you would say to any business owner who's running, maybe an HVAC business, plumbing business, right?
Yeah. Straight to their face. Who you want to work with a wizard or with somebody else? I would literally give them that look. And I'll
Makes sense.
I was so it works for me, and because I've branded myself around it and I'm doing all those things around it, but it can also be for anybody else. And you just have to change the lingo, right? And you just have to change the lingo a little bit, wrap it in a good area, in a good way, and then you can sell it very easily. Okay. The biggest thing that I see, and we'll talk a little bit about sales. The biggest thing that I see with people that do sales or they're new to sales is that they don't understand that a sale starts when somebody says no. If I spoke with a prospect and they told me yes right away, there's probably an issue. However, if I spoke with a prospect and that person says, "Well, I don't know, no," boy, now, now my job starts. Now I know I can make this thing happen because now the whole sales process really kicks in for me. And sales, it's all about statistics. So when an agency owner speak with somebody, they need to know what is that person in in a linear way into their process and understand their number in the queue or number in a linear way in a row, right? Because for example, I'll just throw up a number that if you speak to 10 people, you will get one sale, maybe 20, maybe 101, whatever. Like the statistic should be if I speak with X amount of people, I do get one sale. So when you look at a statistic, it's very easy to go about it because every person helps me. Even if they say no, it helps me to go through the statistic to the next person. They'll say yes, or we say yes. Great, I hit the jackpot. Now my whole cycle goes back again. So I need no, 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 no.
Mm, gotcha. Makes sense. A follow-up question on what you said prior to this talk. When you say go all in, right? Do it all. Could you please explain a bit here, right? Because again, I remember you saying that you can do several stuff, but at different points of time. When let's say you are doing agency, let's say in May, right? Maybe you can do another venture in next month in June, July, right? So when you say go all in, what exactly do you mean?
I mean, go all in like your life is depending on it. Think this way. If I say, Gosh, you have two choices. To make your agency, I'm just throwing numbers, right? Don't stick to that. If you have two choices, you're gonna bring your agency to a seven-figure agency, or you're going to die. Are you going to make your agency seven-figure?
Yeah, for sure.
That's how you should treat it. That's how you should treat it. Like there's no other alternative. It's a life or that's the way you should treat it. Now, maybe it's not life or death. However, it is really on that border. Because let me explain. Life will probably proceed, whatever, if that individual will have an agency or not. However, the type and the quality of life will not they might remain the same, they might improve, or they might decline. When I look at those things, for me, I see it in eyes of a hungry lion that is a life or death for him. Whatever true death or is days hungry, that's not the life that I would like. I do not want to be hungry. So the way I see this is that the more I do, the more I push, the more I can help people I love, the more I can help myself, the more I can do for whatever it is. And if I don't take it seriously, I can't do nothing. Literally, because I don't have any money or time or any of those things. That's the way I treat it.
Perfect, perfect. I just took a note of exactly what you said because I want myself to remember, to remind this. This is fantastic. Now, coming to another one. How do you create strategy for any business? Let's say it could be a business, it could be a home service, whatever business, right? How do you exactly create a marketing strategy for that business?
So you gotta figure out what you're working with out of the gauge, all right? So if you're working with a nutrition or whatnot, or hire an attorney, whatever, if it's your business, what resources do I have?
Hmm.
The less resources you have, the more work you and the business owner or the business personnel has to do. For example, if they don't have enough money for ads and they don't have enough money for SEO, maybe, then I would expect that business owner to do door knocking. I'm just right? Because they have to compensate for it. However, if the same business owner say, well, you have 20K budget for ads this month. Well, I know that I need to create a campaign around that. So it's a little hard to answer it how I would go about it in a strategic point. But the first thing that I do is to figure out what do I work with? How much money do I have? Who I'm working with as far as the people involved. Then I'll take that and I'll try to break it down into tasks and how I'm going to use that money for whatever period of time.
Now, you post a lot of content. I. So, what social platform you would suggest business owners to be active on?
Say again. Sorry, the line broke.
So, what social platforms you would suggest, business owners to be active on in terms of content posting and stuff like that?
So it really comes down to where your audience is procrastinating, right? Not procrastinating, sorry, hibernating. Uh, so it really depends on where the people are hibernating and where they're hanging out. So, some businesses is really good to do LinkedIn, some it's really good to do Facebook, some Instagram, some TikTok. It really comes down to that type of business. And then from there, you can kind of figure out maybe you don't want to do, not want to, but maybe you'll be a good idea to do PPC or YouTube ads. So you really need to figure out who you're working with,
Mm,
you
awesome.
know?
Makes sense. This is an interesting one. What marketing strategies have been most effective for promoting Local Dominator?
So I think just me being active, that's definitely something that helps. Being active, we run some ads, we do regular stuff, nothing special or anything of that sort. I think that the biggest thing, Local Dominator, wasn't the marketing that I currently having, but it was the biggest value proposition. Having the fact that we are the most accurate, having the fact that it's inexpensive, it's working fast, all of the things around it is the things that is pushing it very well.
I feel you guys have positioned it really well, right? You're not saying you guys are really cheap or stuff like that. You're saying we are inexpensive. So, I mean, you guys have positioned it really well. You're not saying you guys are cheap. The tool, I mean,
Right.
right? You are saying it's inexpensive and accurate. Yeah, makes sense.
It's inexpensive. Great. Are there any less expensive product in the market? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are they better? Absolutely not. The value for money with Local Dominator is really there. Uh, there are other tools and software out there that are charging 3 to 5 times more than we do. And not only that, we do it for less, we do it better.
Mm,
So
gotcha. Makes sense. What about your agency? How do you or what sort of marketing strategies you implement there? And also one thing, I was actually checking your website, I guess, a month or so ago, and I saw that you guys weren't taking any more clients, right? Yeah, on your website, it's mentioned that we are full for this quarter or stuff like that.
yeah,
Could you please tell a bit about that?
yeah, sure. So we have actually didn't take any clients for the past 6 months now. For the last quarter, I think we're gonna take another 1 or 2 clients in the next month or so. We are working on a new model, so we're gonna test it. The thing is that if you do well and you are working very smartly with your current clients, you don't really need more clients. Now, usually people are like, well, what do you mean I don't need more clients? I want more clients, right? Not really. Because if you're working with your client properly and you help them grow, what will that client do? It will different more and more business, whatever if it's their business or referrals. So you need to go out there and run ads or do organic and do all of those things to bring in more people because your core and stuff just keeps growing and growing and growing. So today, we really don't have the capacity to take more. I'm really trying to minimize things. And that's why it's there. I didn't update the website for almost a year. Like, I mean, it's crazy. Like, but it took me some time to get to that point. It wasn't that I it. It took some time. But that's the thing. At some point, you'll get to an area with your agency that you don't want more clients. You're happy with your current, you're gonna help them grow, they're gonna help you grow, and you're good.
Makes sense.
They
Makes sense. As a business owner, or maybe it might be a bit personal, but what's the biggest risk you have taken in your career?
man, it was quite a few of them. But I think that the biggest thing is who just jump into something without really knowing much. So there are two type of people, right? There are people that are easy to jump and there are people that are not. When you're looking at engineers, for example, engineers likes to do a lot of analysis paralysis, right? Where they'll have an analysis and they'll go and they'll redo it, digest it and again and again and again and again, and the deal is lost. In my case, in many scenarios that I had, an opportunity will present itself and I'll say, okay, yes. And then the next day I'm going to ask the questions. I'll be like, wait, what? Okay, what did I say yes to? All right, and let me figure this thing out. And then you ask all the questions. So it's kind of one of those things. If I have to put it in more like in a way, a kind of example, in some cases in my life, I jumped out of the plane and the parachute was with my hand and not on my back, and I had to figure it out and open it while I'm dropping. Uh, that's kind of my biggest thing.
You look really pumped every single time I talk to you, I see you, you know. What keeps you motivated?
Life. I mean, in life. So, yeah, I'm trying to be happy all the time. And I think this is the biggest thing that kind of helps me. And that's why I'm pumped. And I'm not always pumped, to be honest. But I do have this energy in me where it's like, all right, let's do this thing, let's make shit happen, let's get fired up. And then I'm getting fired up and I'm like, all right, let's do this, let's make it happen. Uh, what motivates me in my core is, sorry, I'm kind of mumbling because it's personal, but it's, I don't want to go back to where I was, which in my early age in life, I was really broke and I want to take care of my family. Those two things together is the biggest joy that life can give me right now. To be able to take care of the people, to be able to take care of yourself, to do all of those things, there's nothing better. It's not about a nice car or buying another shiny object. Is to know that when you need it, you can take care of the people you love. That's
Awesome. And that's sure.
one more thing if we have time on that.
Yeah.
To help some people. I'm doing a lot of NLP learning in the last several years, but there's something very basic which Tony Robbins talks about all the time. In a way, people are being motivated by two things accordingly to the NLP and accordingly to Tony, by fear or pleasure. Now, when you learn this thing and you understand and you say, okay, fear or pleasure, what am I being motivated by? Then you can learn about yourself and you could put that things in front of you. If you remember what I said just earlier, about a minute ago, I'm afraid of yada, yada, yada. I said that pretty, pretty blunt. I'm afraid of going back to a certain period of my life, and I'm afraid that I won't be able to take care of my family. So I've been motivated by fear, which is usually significantly more powerful than the pleasure. To really get motivated and to get yourself to outside of your comfort zone and do those extra things and do the things that people don't want to do, you want to look at that thing and you want to have that motivation factor motivates you. So when I'm down, when I'm feeling depressed, when I don't have the desire to work, I'm like, okay, let me remember, why am I doing this? And then it pops into my real life. And I'm like, holy the shit, and I'm like shivering. I gotta do stuff. I gotta do these things. I gotta do this. I can't sleep, and me, I've been, doing like those things and I can't sleep because I'm afraid. I'm motivated by that. And when you put it here in front of your eyes, you can't ignore it. Oh, yeah.
Good.
No.
The last one, and it's been fantastic talking to be honest. What's gonna be your tip for newcomers in the business?
For new people coming to the business.
Yeah.
So my tip will be as follows. Take it seriously or don't do it at all. That's the first. The second tip is take it fucking seriously or don't do it at all. And the third one is to invest in yourself first. Invest yourself first so you can take care of other people. Meaning, if somebody wakes up in the morning tomorrow and they say, I want to start an agency, right? which is very a common thing to say. I'm not surprised if a lot of people will say that tomorrow morning. Here is what I would expect. I would expect that individual to take it as serious as it can or as he can, and will make his entire calendar all about how I can get this thing done in the best possible way. And the second thing is to help himself first, meaning do not take a client and then build your own fucking website. Sorry, I got upset because I see it all the time. I have people that talking to me and they start an agency and they don't even have a website because they kind of got into it with life event or whatever, which is okay, but it's not serious. You want to take it seriously. Put the ground, establish your stuff, then go out there and bring the clients. Then they're going to look at you different as well. Because I'm sure you had those days too when you started. I had those days when I started. I didn't take myself seriously. So when I spoke with prospects, they didn't take me seriously.
True that.
However, if you take yourself seriously, and this is what happened to me, the day that I took myself seriously, that I went all in, everything changed. That's the biggest thing that I want a new person to take on. Take yourself seriously, brand yourself, and go all in.
Gotcha. Eldar, that was fantastic talking to you, man. Do you have any other stuff to say here?
I drink a lot of coffee. That's one of my secrets. Don't eat a lot and drink coffee while you work. My otherwise you don't want to work because you eat so much. That's my biggest thing. That did my fourth or fifth one for today. I don't know. I think I'm those things. And yeah, I think that one of the biggest things is for people that are just starting in the industry is take it seriously, bring yourself, get yourself a mentor, Paying somebody a couple $100 is really, really, really good. And kind of what I'm here, it's good up right. Paying somebody a couple $100 will be really good for that individual if that mentor person, if that mentor, if that mentor or that person can really help him. And there are mentors that you can find anywhere from $100 to $1,000,000, whatever. You have to find somebody that is for you, that have done what you're trying to do. Pay a couple bucks, take it seriously with doing it consistently. For example, if somebody is taking coaching, they should do that every month, consistently, every other month. It's a business expense. It's a very, very, very smart business expense because that person helps that agency to do all the stuff. That's the one thing that I would definitely recommend a lot of people that are starting. Don't take no for an answer from yourself. That's the biggest step because a lot of times we say no to ourselves. Like, for example, I can say, well, I'm going to do this and this and this today. And then yourself says, nope, don't do that today. Go play, go do whatever, or do something else, or different things. Don't negotiate with yourself on the things that you need to do. I think that when you build all that stuff together, you surround yourself in good people, you surround yourself with the right logic. Like, I mean, that's freaking amazing. And you'll be able to get to where you try to get to go, that person.
Well, for sure. For sure. I'll for sure agree on the mentorship part as well. But just to follow up on that, when you say mentorship, right? What would you suggest a group mentorship? Because there's a lot of group mentorship and stuff like that you could find for $500,000, $600,000 a month or stuff like that, versus one-on-one coaching.
I think one-on-one coaching, I don't think there's much. There's good value if you jump into one of those coaching groups, but you want to have that one-to-one personal connection with that individual, and that will you more than he will give to the group. Like, you know this from personal experience, right?
True that.
You had those type of sessions. How did it affect you?
Yeah. I mean, after talking to you, couple of other people I admire, business has been the best. So yeah, I would for sure agree on that.
Yeah. So that's super important to do and to do it consistently. That's the thing. Like sometimes I had people that I do like coaching with, And I'm like, man, like it's kind of like sometimes people stop, right? Maybe there's a work or this or something else, right? But I know that sometimes they stop from the wrong reasons. And it's not me particular. It's the way some people are taking their approach on that. But if you find somebody that you get value from, do not stop do not stop go see him or talk to them. Go keep going. It's gonna help. It's work on your objectives with that person. Work on your goals. Get it up. Next meeting, bring those to the meeting. Make sure that he's helping you to put your things that are important to you in front of your eyes. Because tell you another, sometimes it's really hard for us to demand from ourselves. And on it for everybody, for me as well. But when you have a mentor, and one of his responsibilities is to make sure you get your stuff done because he's going to give you some homework, right? And then you got to follow those homeworks. And then if you don't, he's going to ask you, why didn't you do it?
Hmm.
That moment is that moment that a lot of us need because sometimes we're procrastinating on different things. We don't, because life takes us different route. So it's super important. um, I see it with the people that I have consistent coaching with, the difference it's impacting their business. And I see it for myself as well. Because when I go again and again and again, it's amazing because every time you reveal another thing or another thing or another thing. So
True that.
super important.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You can set the accountability only when you're actually talking with them regularly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I do it regularly or don't do it at all. That's kind of like my
Mm,
other thing. Yeah.
Makes sense. Gotcha. That was fantastic talking to you, Eldar. It was really valuable for the audience, for me personally. And yeah, I love talking to you. Loved it. And guys, just
So I recently spray. It's
yeah.
I'm so freaking busy. I'm working on some. This is not. Don't add this to the things. Very important personal stuff. I'm just working on a lot of big stuff right now. That's why I've also been quiet on social media. Because when I'm active, I'm getting a lot of attention, and I don't want attention right now because I'm building and working. So I'm done with a lot of stuff, but I think the next 4 to 6 weeks are still going to be quite busy for me, and then I'll go back to normal.
Mm,
And
gotcha.
And that's another thing. This what I'm going to say after this we can share. One of the things that helps me to do a bunch of projects is that I go into a project all in, like I mentioned, and I do that work for like a month or 6 weeks or whatever it is. I'm focusing really, really happy on that. One of the areas of focus is that I bring people that will manage that whatever channel it is. Then I give them a full autonomy of whatever it is, and I go to the next project. So I really focus in on something, and then I let it go because I have somebody else manage it for me. That's kind of like how I do a lot of those things.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Makes perfect sense. Yeah. That was all for today's one, guys. I hope you got some value from it. I'm pretty sure you would. And I'll see you the next one. Till then, bye bye. Have a great, great, great day.